The landscape of human personality is vast and varied, a spectrum of behaviors, motivations, and internal wiring that defies simple categorization. Among the most frequently misunderstood and mislabeled archetypes in this complex topography is the Sigma male. Shrouded in a veil of quiet observation and often mistaken for more familiar types like the alpha or the introvert, the Sigma exists on its own terms, operating by an internal compass that frequently confounds conventional social understanding. The common assumptions levied against him are typically projections from a world that values extroversion, immediate transparency, and collective conformity. These assumptions are not just slightly off, they are fundamentally mistaken, painting a caricature where a deeply complex individual should be. The primary source of this misunderstanding stems from the Sigma male's inherent refusal to be pigeonholed. Society relies on cognitive shortcuts, boxes and labels, to quickly process and predict human behavior. The Sigma male, by his very nature, dismantles these shortcuts. He is not the stereotypical introvert, whose quiet nature may stem from shyness or social anxiety. Nor is he the cold, unfeeling automaton, devoid of human connection, that popular myth often suggests. His behavior is a calculated, intentional response to the world around him, a set of strategies developed through keen observation, and a preference for substance over superficiality. Compounding this issue is the Sigma's characteristic disinterest in correcting the record. To engage in debate over his own nature with someone who has already reached a conclusion feels like a futile expenditure of energy that could be better spent on productive thought, meaningful creation, or genuine connection. He understands that those who are quick to judge are often slow to understand, and thus he allows the myths to persist, creating a protective barrier of misconception that, ironically, further insulates him from the very interactions he finds draining. The truth, however, is far more fascinating and intricate than the stereotypes suggest. It reveals a personality type driven by a powerful internal logic, a deep respect for authenticity, and a unique mode of engaging with the world that is both strategic and profoundly thoughtful. What follows is a detailed deconstruction of the 8 most pervasive myths surrounding the Sigma male, peeling back the layers of assumption to reveal the sophisticated psychological machinery operating beneath the surface. Myth 1. The misanthropic hermit reality. The authenticity filter. The surface-level assumption, the most common and damning misconception, is that the Sigma male is a misanthrope, a person who holds a general contempt for humanity and derives no pleasure from human company. This perception is forged from his tendency to withdraw from large gatherings, his often minimal social circle, and his seemingly disinterested demeanor in group settings. To the outside observer, he appears to be actively rejecting the human race, choosing isolation over interaction out of a deep-seated dislike for people. The deeper reality, a zero-tolerance policy for performative social theater. The truth is not that the Sigma male hates people. Rather, he possesses profound aversion to the inauthenticity and performative fakery that so often characterizes human interaction. His retreat is not from humanity itself, but from exhausting masquerade that so many people mistake for connection. He has spent a lifetime as a keen ethnographer of social behavior, meticulously studying the patterns, hypocrisies, and disingenuous performances that people enact. He has observed a colleague who offers effusive praise to a superior's face only to engage in vicious critique moments later in the break room. He has noted the friend whose personality, opinions, and even values shift like a weather vane depending on the audience. He has witnessed the social rituals where empty platitudes are exchanged like currency, and where conversations are conducted not to exchange ideas, but to signal status, seek validation, or pass the time. To the Sigma male, this is not socializing. It is a form of intellectual and emotional pollution. It is noise, a constant, grating static that obscures genuine signal. His selective social nature is, therefore, not a rejection of connection, but an intense form of quality control. It is a refined filtering system designed to sift through the overwhelming volume of social noise to find rare moments of authentic resonance. He would infinitely prefer his own company to the draining experience of navigating a room full of people wearing metaphorical masks. This is not antisocial behavior. It is a principled stand for genuineness in a world that often rewards its opposite. The Sigma in connection, depth over breadth. When a Sigma male does encounter a truly authentic individual, someone whose internal state matches their external presentation, who speaks their truth without posturing, and who engages without a hidden agenda. A remarkable transformation can occur. The guarded exterior softens. The selective silence gives way to rich, deep, and intensely focused conversation. In these rare connections, the Sigma male reveals a capacity for profound loyalty, intellectual intimacy, and unwavering support. He invests heavily in these relationships because they represent the antithesis of everything he finds tiresome about conventional socializing. These are connections built on substance, mutual respect, and a shared understanding that some things need not be said to be understood. The Sigma doesn't collect acquaintances. He curates a small, impeccable collection of genuine souls. His seeming standoffishness is, in fact, the necessary prerequisite for finding the real, unvarnished human connection he truly values. Myth 2. The emotionally frozen robot reality. The strategic trustee. The surface-level assumption. Sigma males are frequently labeled as cold, aloof, distant, and emotionally unavailable. Their measured responses, lack of overt emotional display, and slow pace in forming close bonds are interpreted as evidence of a frigid internal world, a personality deficient in warmth or deep feeling. People assume that because they do not readily emote or offer immediate vulnerability, they must be incapable of doing so. The deeper reality, trust as an earned currency, not a default setting. Cognitive psychology suggests that most people operate on a heuristic of trust, a mental shortcut that defaults to a basic level of trust in new interactions until that trust is broken. The Sigma male's operating system is fundamentally different. For him, trust is not a default setting. It is a precious currency, earned incrementally through consistent demonstration of character, integrity, and authenticity. What is perceived as coldness is, in reality, a state of neutral, observant caution. This cautious approach is not born out of paranoia, but out of experience and a logical assessment of social dynamics. The Sigma male has likely learned, through direct experience or acute observation, that offering trust too freely is an invitation to disappointment, exploitation, or betrayal. He has seen how quickly confidences can be broken and how easily vulnerability can be weaponized. Consequently, he has developed a sophisticated emotional defense system, a series of gates and filters that every new relationship must pass through. His process is deliberate and patient. He is collecting data points on a person's character. Do their actions align with their words? Do they treat others with respect when nothing is to be gained? How do they handle power or adversity? This is a slow, meticulous audit of a person's trustworthiness. He is not being cold. He is being discerning. He is protecting the valuable and vulnerable parts of himself until there is sufficient evidence that they will be in safe hands. The warmth beneath the caution. Once an individual has successfully navigated this process and earned the Sigma's trust, the perception of him shatters completely. The cold exterior melts away to reveal an individual of immense loyalty, deep empathy, and surprising warmth. He transforms into a fiercely protective friend, a confidant of unwavering discretion, and a source of profound emotional support. The depth of feeling that was once hidden is now directed entirely toward those who have proven themselves worthy of it. This dichotomy explains why those who barely know a Sigma male might describe him as icy, while his inner circle describe him as one of the most deeply feeling and reliable people they know. The distance was never coldness. It was a fortress wall, and those granted entry discovered not a barren keep, but a rich and welcoming inner world. It is emotional intelligence manifested as strategic protection, ensuring that his deepest investments are made only in relationships with the highest probability of a genuine return. Myth 3. The rebellious anarchist reality. The meritocratic pragmatist. The surface-level assumption. A common misinterpretation of the Sigma male is that he is inherently rebellious, contrarian, and hostile to any form of authority or hierarchy. He is seen as a malcontent who chafes under leadership, refuses to follow rules, and possesses a pathological inability to be told what to do. This perception arises when he questions directives, opts out of corporate team-building exercises, or refuses to engage in ritualistic deference often shown to those in positions of power. The deeper reality, a laser focus on competence and efficiency. The Sigma male's conflict is not with the concept of authority itself, but with the all-too-common phenomenon of illegitimate authority. power that is vested in a title rather than earned through demonstrable competence. His mind is wired like that of a systems analyst or an engineer. He is constantly scanning his environment for inefficiencies, logical fallacies, and optimizations. He cannot abide poor leadership, not out of spite, but because incompetence represents a systemic failure that creates unnecessary friction and suboptimal outcomes. Imagine a workplace scenario. A manager, promoted through tenure rather than skill, implements a new policy that is clearly flawed, creates more work, and demoralizes a team. Most employees might grumble privately but ultimately comply, accepting the inefficiency as an unchangeable part of organizational life. The Sigma male's brain, however, cannot simply accept this. It immediately begins deconstructing the problem, identifying the root causes, and formulating a dozen better solutions. To remain silent and comply with a system he knows to be broken feels intellectually dishonest and almost physically uncomfortable. His subsequent actions, questioning the policy, proposing alternatives, or simply opting out of participating in the charade, are not acts of rebellion. They are acts of optimization. He is not trying to undermine the leader. He is trying to fix a broken process. He will gladly and loyally follow a leader who demonstrates expertise, sound judgment, and respect for their team. His allegiance is to competence, not to a title. He follows a person who knows the right way, not just a person who is in charge. A challenge to the status quo. This inherent meritocracy makes the Sigma male a crucial asset in any organization, though he is often mistaken for a liability. He is a canary in the coal mine for institutional rot and incompetence. While others are nodding along, he is the one asking the difficult but necessary question that everyone else is thinking. This can create friction with those who value hierarchy and harmony over truth and efficiency. His behavior is not about ego or desire to disrupt. It is a principled, almost compulsive drive to make systems work as they should. He doesn't hate authority. He demands that authority justify itself through wisdom and effectiveness. Myth 4. The arrogant know-it-all reality. The confident logician. The surface-level assumption. When a Sigma male speaks, he often does so with a tone of definitive certainty. He states his conclusions as facts, with little hedging or qualification. This unshakable confidence is frequently misread as arrogance, intellectual superiority, and a condescending attitude toward those who are less certain. He is labeled a know-it-all who believes his opinion is inherently more valuable than others. The deeper reality, the tip of a massive intellectual iceberg. The certainty in a Sigma male's voice is rarely, if ever, bluster. It is a final, outward expression of extensive and often entirely internal process of rigorous analysis. Before he articulates a position, his mind has already undertaken a silent journey, gathering data, examining the issue from multiple angles, weighing evidence, considering potential counterarguments, and running probabilistic scenarios. The conclusion he presents is not a first impression or a gut feeling. It is the verified output of a thorough mental audit. The critical disconnect occurs because this entire process is invisible. While others are engaging in a social dance of brainstorming, throwing out half-formed ideas to be workshopped collectively, the Sigma male has already completed the workshop in the private theater of his own mind. He doesn't say, "I think," because from his perspective, he doesn't just think it, he has reasoned it. His confidence is not in himself as an infallible entity, but in the logical process he has just rigorously applied. Furthermore, he often operates on the assumption that others have engaged in a similar level of analysis. He doesn't realize that many people form opinions based on emotion, social conformity, or superficial impressions. Therefore, when he states his well-reasoned conclusion with conviction, it can seem to come out of nowhere, shocking a conversation that was still in its exploratory phase. His lack of preamble or explanation of his reasoning is not a dismissal of others' intelligence. It is an oversight born from the assumption that the logical steps are self-evident. The difference between arrogance and conviction. There is a fundamental chasm between arrogance and logical confidence. Arrogance is a performance of superiority, often a mask insecurity. It is opinion without substance. The Sigma male's confidence is the opposite. It is the substance itself, manifested as speech. It is earned through private intellectual labor. He is not trying to prove he is smarter than anyone. He is simply sharing the results of his work. If his logic is flawed or his data is incomplete, he He is typically more than willing to adjust his conclusion, but this adjustment will only come through a superior counter-argument, not through social pressure or an appeal to emotion. His respect is for the logic of the situation, not for the hierarchy of the speakers. Myth 5. The humorless stoic reality. The master deadpan. The surface-level assumption. With their composed demeanor and analytical focus, Sigma males are often perceived as perpetually serious, devoid of levity or a sense of humor. They are the ones who supposedly don't get the joke or never laugh, casting a sober pall over any lighthearted situation. People assume that their constant state of observation is a state of solemn judgment. The deeper reality, a stealth bomber of subtle wit. The Sigma male's humor is one of his most misunderstood and overlooked qualities. It is not absent. It is simply operating on a different frequency. It is dry, witty, deeply observational, and delivered with masterful deadpan delivery that is designed to fly under the radar of conventional comedy. His is not the humor of slapstick or loud, obvious punchlines. It is a humor of irony, satire, and brilliant linguistic precision. He is the king of the understated remark, the perfectly timed observation that exposes the inherent absurdity of a situation. His jokes are often woven seamlessly into normal conversation, sounding like serious statements on the surface, but containing a layer of sharp commentary that is only apparent to those who are listening carefully. He doesn't tell jokes to win the approval of the room or to be the center of attention. His humor is a private delight, a shared secret with those perceptive enough to catch it. It is intellectual comedy that rewards intelligence and attention. The problem is that in a world accustomed to laugh tracks and exaggerated delivery, his subtlety is often missed entirely. People expecting a boisterous reaction or a clear signal that a joke has been made will overlook his wit. They might even mistake his humorous, sarcastic comment for a genuine, serious, and perhaps cynical statement. When someone claims a Sigma male has no sense of humor, what they are often admitting is that their own comedic palate is not refined enough to appreciate a sophisticated, low-key style. His laughter is not a loud roar but a slight smirk or a knowing glint in the eye, the quiet appreciation of a paradox observed and highlighted. Myth 6. The unapproachable fortress reality. The value-driven social investor. The surface-level assumption. Sigma males are often seen as unapproachable. Their quiet presence and lack of initiating small talk energy is interpreted as a passive-aggressive, do not disturb sign. People feel they need permission to speak to them, assuming that any interaction will be an unwelcome intrusion on their solitude. The deeper reality, the economics of social energy. The Sigma male is not unapproachable. He is private and highly conscious of his social energy as a finite and valuable resource. He does not leave his social gates wide open for anyone to wander through, because he understands that not all interactions are beneficial. Some conversations are enriching, stimulating, and additive to his life. Many others are draining, trivial, and extractive. His default state of quiet observation is not a wall to keep people out. It is a conservation of energy, a waiting state for an interaction that is worth the investment. He distinguishes sharply between being spoken to and being interrupted. An interruption is a demand for his attention that is unrelated to his current focus or that offers no value. For example, meaningless gossip or hollow inquiries about his well-being. Being spoken to with a genuine question, an interesting idea, or a meaningful topic is rarely seen as an intrusion. In fact, he often welcomes it. The key to approaching a Sigma male is to bypass the superficial social script. He would vastly prefer a moment of comfortable silence to a forced conversation about the weather. If you approach him with authenticity and substance, a comment on a book he's reading, a thoughtful question, or a shared interest, you will likely find him to be an engaged, insightful, and rewarding conversationalist. He is not against connection. He is against squandering his cognitive and emotional resources on performative social rituals that lead nowhere. He is approachable to those who approach with respect for his space and something real to say. Myth 7. The emotionally illiterate reality. The emotional strategist. The surface-level assumption. Perhaps the most damaging myth is that Sigma males are emotionally stunted or disconnected. Their measured response to emotional events and their tendency to analyze feelings rather than immediately express them is taken as evidence that they either do not feel emotions deeply or view them as a weakness to be suppressed. The deeper reality, the intelligence of emotional processing. Nothing could be further from the truth. Sigma males often experience emotions with incredible intensity. The difference lies not in the feeling, but in the processing. The common model is to feel an emotion and immediately react to it. Anger leads to shouting, joy leads to celebration, sadness leads to tears. The Sigma male employs a different model. He feels a powerful emotion, but before he allows it to dictate his actions, he pauses to analyze it. He engages in a rapid internal dialogue. What is the source of this feeling? What information is this emotion providing me about the situation or person? Is this reaction proportionate to the event? What would be the most constructive way to channel this energy? This process is not suppression. It is strategic management. It is the application of reason to emotion to ensure that the resulting action is aligned with his goals and values, rather than being a raw, uncontrolled outburst. By the time he expresses an emotion, it has been thoroughly processed and understood. This can make his emotional expression seem muted or delayed compared to others, leading to the false perception of coldness. In reality, his response is more thoughtful and often more effective. He understands that emotions are crucial data points about the world and our place in it. But he refuses to be a puppet jerked around by those strings without understanding who is pulling them. This ability to detach slightly from the immediate heat of emotion, to understand its nature, is a sign of advanced emotional intelligence, not a lack of it. He feels everything. He just thinks before he reacts. Myth 8. The antisocial loner reality. The selectively social connector. The surface level assumption. The culmination of all the previous myths is the label of antisocial. The Sigma male's tendency to decline invitations, skip large parties, and value solitude is seen as conclusive proof that he is a loner, a hermit, or someone with a pathological disinterest in human connection. The deeper reality, the pursuit of qualitative depth. The Sigma male is not antisocial. He is selectively social. This is a critical distinction. Antisocial behavior implies a hostility toward or an inability to function in social settings. Selective sociality is a conscious, intentional strategy for maximizing the quality of one's social life. The Sigma male understands a simple but profound truth. 1 hour of deep, meaningful conversation with a single trusted confidant is more valuable and energizing than 10 hours of scattered small talk at a crowded party. He is optimizing for connection, not for consumption. He would rather have a few relationships of immense depth and trust than a vast network of shallow acquaintances. His solitude is not empty. It is productive and restorative. It is in these quiet moments that he recharges, thinks, creates, and prepares himself to be fully present for the high-quality interactions he does choose to engage in. When he enters a social setting, it is typically with purpose, to connect with specific people or to engage with a topic he finds stimulating. He is not there to see and be seen. His absence from many social events is not a rejection of society, but a rejection of shallow socializing. He is making a calculated choice to invest his limited social energy where it will yield the highest return in terms of genuine human connection and intellectual stimulation. This is not a personality disorder. It is a refined and intelligent approach to navigating the social world, prioritizing authentic resonance over mere presence. Conclusion: understanding the unspoken code. The Sigma male remains an enigma only to those who insist on viewing him through a lens of conventional social expectations. He is not broken, cold, arrogant, or antisocial. He is a complex individual operating by a sophisticated internal code that prioritizes logic, authenticity, competence, and meaningful depth over superficial social rewards. He is the quiet observer in the corner not because he is judging you, but because he is understanding the room. His silence is not emptiness, but fullness, a mind teeming with analysis and observation. His selective nature is not a weakness, but a strategic defense against the trivial and the inauthentic. To understand the Sigma male is to recognize that his behavior is not a rejection of the world, but a different, highly considered way of engaging with it. He is not missing out on life. He is waiting for the parts of it that are truly worth living.